I was angry that I didn't have a father. I remember saying to my mother, "Why didn't you ever tell me about my father?"
Barbra Streisand is an extremely talented and admired woman, a perfect woman. She can play many different roles at the same time, and do them very well. She is an American singer, actress, songwriter, producer, and director. Everyone recognizes her talent in the fields she participates in, especially in singing. With a career that lasts more than a decade, she has achieved many prestigious awards. Fans especially love her beautiful voice. However, after those resounding successes, Barbra's life also had some low notes. She had a difficult childhood, especially the lack of affection from her father. And to have such an illustrious career, she also had to try and make a lot of effort. And today, once again, we will hear about the ups and downs in Barbra's life through her son, who inherited her singing talent when he was a beautiful singer. Stay here to see what a beautiful and talented woman Barbra Streisand is. Barbra's youth. Barbra was widely regarded as a woman of extraordinary skill and one of the greatest talents Hollywood has ever seen. She was a force to be reckoned with. Her tenacity and resilience made her a celebrated actress, helping her overcome many hardships and leave behind a lasting legacy that resonates through the echoes of time. Her talent and tenacity were evident from her childhood. Before we delve into Barbra's life's successes, let's talk about her teenage years, as they laid a solid, valuable foundation for her later achievements. Streisand was born on April 24, 1942, in Brooklyn, New York City. Her mother is Diana Ida, 1908 to 2002, and her father is Emanuel Streisand, 1908 to 1943. Her mother was a soprano in her youth and considered a musical career, but became a school secretary. Her father was a high school teacher at the same school where they first met. The Streisand family was Jewish. Her paternal grandparents emigrated from Galicia, present-day Poland and Ukraine, to the Austro-Hungarian Empire, and her maternal grandparents emigrated from the Russian Empire, where her grandfather had been a choir master. From an early age, Barbra demonstrated her beautiful singing voice, a voice that was powerful and clear. Barbra knew she was meant for the arts and wanted to be a singer, but her mother wanted her to have a more stable and secure job, such as being a secretary. It was a classic example of unsupported dreams. However, her mother's suppression of her dream of becoming a singer was not Barbra's first sadness, as her first tragedy occurred in August 1943, a few months after her first birthday. At that young age, she lost her father to the cold grip of death, leaving a permanent hole in her heart. And that was only the start of the obstacle that surrounded her entire existence. How did she make the most of the suffering to reach the top of the ladder? Please read on to find out how she came to be depressed as she approaches the commencement of her life. Her early years were impacted by not having a father role in her life, which presented challenges in every way. Her dreams were flashing before her eyes, threatening to fade away if she did nothing. It would have been another unfulfilled hope added to the cart, just like her mother's. The family nearly fell into complete poverty after her father's passing. With the little money she made from bookkeeping, her mother attempted to meet the bills. It wasn't particularly substantial, though, just all of her time. Barbra revealed that after her father passed away, her mother experienced a great deal of sorrow and grief. As a result, she started taking medicine for anxiety and sadness. Barbra had no father to raise her, and no mother to provide her with the love and connection she so desperately needed. She recalled stating, her father didn't come home from work at dusk like everyone else's did. She desired to have that connection other kids in the block had, but she never felt any hatred. She recognized her difficulties while applauding her mother's efforts. Though she had never visited her father's grave, she went to his monument at her brother's advice. She came onto a medium there who promised to connect her with her father. Barbra remarked in an Oprah Winfrey interview that the event felt odd. It gave her a deep sense of connection and inspired her to take her career seriously. Barbra's accomplishments exceeded everyone's expectations, demonstrating that her father supported her even in his absence. The stack of his books on a shelf represented her father's actual presence, which would have had a big influence on her early years. She had always felt, as Barbra so pitifully put it, that she had no father. There wasn't even a picture of the two of them. Barbra's life changed dramatically when her mother remarried without informing her of this momentous, delicate, and crucial choice. This episode occurred when Barbra was 7 years old, severely rupturing her already weak bond with her mother. This horrific experience has affected Barbra for the rest of her life, as she vehemently states in the interview that she will not stand for someone lying to her. Unfortunately, her mother's new husband arrived suddenly, kindly, and openly into their lives. Even though Barbra went to considerable measures to gain his affection and even called him her dad, he remained spiteful and bitter. Barbra had a really unhappy childhood. Her brother Sheldon felt the same way about their stepfather. Still, it was noted that Barbra in particular was treated crueler. She had to put up with jokes and comparisons to her half-sister, the result of her mother's recent marriage to her stepfather. He was always emphasizing how ugly and plain Barbra was, and how she would never amount to anything meaningful, making her life unbearable. However, Barbra took everything with a grain of salt because she was certain that this was her path to fame. This is an amazing time in Barbra's life since she was able to grow into a strong lady despite not having a father. Instead, it sharpened her perception and fortified her resolve. She visited every place except the South. Her attitude, choices, and career were shaped and continued to pursue the right path despite several challenges, dark moments, and impediments that would have severed her seemingly incredible potential. Barbra lets her lack of resources spur her on to greater effort. She tells us that the lack of basic couch furniture in her home is probably why she developed a passion for them. Her life reached a breaking point when she realized that the narrative of her father's death that she had been told differed greatly from the real facts. This increased the emotional and psychological strain on her and made life even more difficult for her. In comparison to her peers, Barbra was exceptional. Her musical abilities and the terrible loss of her father set her apart. First, successes. When she was 13 years old, she had her first inspiration. She had started to try to make her relationship with her mother stronger at that point. At Catskills, they both recorded a few songs onto cassette. It was during that session that Barbra realized for the first time she had artistic talent. Learning is the path to success. Despite her poverty, Barbra Streisand was able to receive a basic education at the age of 5 at the Brooklyn Jewish Orthodox Yeshiva. She was observed to lack self-control, blurting out replies to questions that weren't posed to her. Given that the mother was an absentee workaholic and the child was raised without a father figure, what more could be expected? She then ended up at Brooklyn's Public School 89, where she was introduced to the world of film. At that moment, Barbra makes the decision to leave Brooklyn, become a great actor, and achieve stardom. Barbra's talent soon brought her popularity. In the neighborhood, she was referred to as the girl with an excellent voice. She practiced indoors in her apartment's corridor, which had a resonant tone, and would sit on the doorstep of her building and sing for the amusement of other kids in the neighborhood. At her first appearance, she sang a tune to the excited audience at the school's PTA meeting, to their roars and cheers. After putting on such an incredible performance, she became popular. Except for her mother, who was a harsh critic, everyone praised the star. Since then, Barbra has gained a lot of momentum. She received requests to perform at many weddings, auditions, and summer camps. She had her mother's full backing by the time she was 13, and together they recorded a 4-song demo cassette that included the songs Zing Went the Strings of My Heart and You'll Never Know. Acting dream. Barbra didn't give up on her primary goal of acting, even if she had success writing songs. Her first play, The Diary of Anne Frank, which she saw when she was 14, reignited the desire. Barbra aspired to be like the play's principal actress, Susan Strasberg. Enthusiastic and filled with conviction, Barbra spent more time reading the biographies of different theater actresses, including Eleanor Duse and Sarah Bernhardt. She spent more time reading plays and novels at the library. In 1956, Barbra continued her education at Erasmus Hall High School in Brooklyn as a young woman full of fervent determination and a desire for the best. She showed her talent in history, English, and Spanish academics as well as in the arts and music. She furthered her vocal training by joining the Freshman Chorus and Choral Club. As a walk-on at the Playhouse in Malden Bridge, New York, in the summer of 1957, Barbra commanded the stage. Her performance cleared the way for more roles in quick succession, much like her constant musical marathon. She assisted behind the scenes at Cherry Lane Theater in addition to portraying a vampire in Dark Set and a little sister in Picnic. She progressed to the senior class and had a modest role in the play Driftwood. Barbra's graduation from Erasmus Hall in 1959 at the age of 16 was a lovely and touching achievement. She stepped forth into the next phase with courage and self-assurance. Her goal was to land roles that would force her to steal the show on the New York City stage. She had to accept any job that would put her on stage before it could come to pass. Career. From rock bottom to top of the hill, Barbra was forced to confront the hard truths of life at the age of 16. She worked odd jobs to make ends meet. Fortunately for her, the circumstances of her upbringing had made her resilient. She didn't have a permanent address to her name for a while. She lived any place she could put up a tent or lay her head in a friend's house. Like the biblical prodigal son, she went back to her mother after going through all tribulations that proved to be in vain. Barbra's mother was able to win her daughter over with a pot of warm meal, despite the bridge that separated them. Her mother was appalled at the pathetic situation her daughter had fallen into as a result of her desire and unwavering resolve. Because Barbra had alternative intentions, her mother did all in her power to discourage her from pursuing a career in show business. Still, she was adamant. Diana reportedly stated in a magazine that she preferred her daughter to follow a safer professional path, such as working as a secretary for a respectable company. She didn't aggressively push her daughter to follow her love because she was worried about the challenges, setbacks, and uncertainty that come with establishing a career in shows. It wasn't long before it became clear that Diana was hiding something. It was not out of compassion that she prevented Barbra from following her dream. Rather, it was out of covert jealousy. Diana's hopes of becoming famous and successful and making music were dashed. These unfulfilled dreams gave rise to a wide range of emotions, including anxiety, jealousy, and hatred. Barbra was able to forgive Diana because of her naivete, compassion, and sincere mother-daughter love. She departed with a renewed determination to show her mother that she was a superstar. She swore she would never follow a traditional career route. By happenstance, Barbra was hired early in 1960 to work as an usher at the Lunt-Fontanne Theater for the Sound of Music. She observed closely what was going on both inside and outside of her workplace. She had an advantage since she could hear when the casting director was looking for vocalists for an audition. You can rely on Barbra to seize the chance. She sang beautifully, captivating the director with her performance. The director, while unimpressed, gave her praise and advised her to not conceal her ability as a vocalist. Barbra was instructed by the director to always mention it in her resume when looking for work. Barbra is a constant source of strength. She made the most of the alternatives the universe provided her with, even though she didn't always receive what she desired right away. Although Barbra still lacks a successful career or a way to make a name for herself, she has found love and support in Barry Deenan, her lover. Barry Deenan is going to record Barbra singing. He would always bring a guitarist to play along with her, beckoning softly on the strings to enhance her crescendo. Every time Barry Deenan watched and listened to her perform, his enthusiasm rose. He persuaded her to sign up for a talent show at the Lion, a gay nightclub in Greenwich Village, Manhattan. That was something the crowd had never heard before. The astonished quiet that followed Barbra's performance showed how shocked they were. Shouts of joy, screams, and deafening applause broke out as if someone had woken up from a trance. Everyone agreed that she had won after the announcement of the winner. Her hard work, proficiency, and brilliance were rewarded when she received an invitation to return and perform for many weeks at the club. Barbra altered the story since, unlike many others, she began her career in prestigious nightclubs rather than on a theater stage. Things were starting to take shape at this point, but she was always being told that she was too unattractive to be a star. Barbra was requested to come audition at the Bonsoir nightclub, and when she was asked to sign up for a weekly payment of $1.25, she realized she was getting closer. When she secured her first professional gig in September 1960, as comic Phyllis Diller's opening act, she made history. Barbra changed, became friends with, and forged connections with a variety of people who played a significant role in her ascent to prominence. Her ability to learn was enhanced when she started incorporating several emotional personas into her performances, which gave her singing a stronger edge. She gained strength from and listened to other exceptional female vocalists. Her signature approach was to have sophisticated, business-like conversations with her audience in between songs. Her audience responded well to her wit and humor, which was influenced by Brooklyn since they could relate to her. A girl can be removed from Brooklyn, but a girl cannot be removed from Brooklyn. Barbra never lost sight of her origins. Despite the substandard living conditions she experienced, she spoke warmly of her origins and treasured the memories associated with them. Her falsetto, which has reached every corner of the globe, was initially echoed in that old apartment owned by her grandparents, which is why Brooklyn is such an essential part of her personality. Before long, she was being compared to leading performers in the business, like Judy Garland, Lena Horne, and Fanny Brice. Acting and singing together no longer seemed like an impossible feat because Barbra could do it with ease. She agreed to perform in and sing 2 solos in the satirical comic play Another Evening with Harry Stunes, which was her first job on the New York stage. Remarkably, the reviews were negative, and the next day the program was canceled. Despite this, Martin Ehrlichman, her new personal manager, assisted her in winning praise for her well-received stage performances in Detroit and St. Louis. The plot thickened when she received a booking at Manhattan's The Blue Angel, a classier cabaret where she first gained notoriety in 1961 to 1962. Barbra's career progressed similarly to a chart, landing her parts in plays and concerts until she ran upon Elliot Gould in one of the productions. They moved in together after falling in love. By March 20, 1962, Barbra was the talk of the town and was getting great reviews. People started to know her by name, and she became deeply ingrained in their hearts. She started to become well known at the age of 20. She won the New York Drama Critics Prize for Best Supporting Actress and was nominated for a Tony Award. Barbra might be likened to a wheel turning on a hill. Once she starts moving, she doesn't stop until she reaches her goal. Barbra made her television debut in April 1961. From that point until 1963, she appeared on a variety of shows. Later on, in 1963, Barbra made a big step when she acquired the Barbra Streisand CD, her debut CD. Her song became the country's best-selling female performer, peaked at number 10 on the Billboard chart, and earned her 3 Grammy Awards, quite an incredible accomplishment. Her net worth, popularity, influence, and career all increased quickly. She shot the second Barbra Streisand album that same year, seemingly driven by a rocket. 1963, the year of the breakthrough, was completed with one-night concerts in Indianapolis, San Jose, Chicago, Sacramento, Los Angeles, and Los Angeles. In 1964, the resurgent Barbra made her way back to Broadway with her head held high. Her growing popularity led to her being featured on the cover of Time in 1964, up until 1970, when Barbra won the Tony Award for Honorary Star of the Decade. It dominated nominations and prizes. Barbra has reportedly amassed a devoted global following and sold over 150 million records globally. Barbra's incredible achievement effectively concealed the hurt she was feeling following the dissolution of her marriage to Elliot in 1971. The pair reportedly drifted apart because Barbra put her career ahead of their relationship. According to an interview, Elliot recognized their relationship, the experiences they had, and their quick success despite their split, not to mention their son Jason. As the years went by, Barbra moved on to the mid-1980s, when she was approached by the late First Lady Jackie Kennedy about writing a memoir that would serve as a compilation of her memories for future generations to hear. Others throughout the world grew to love her because of her alleged shortcomings, which in the beginning caused others to laugh at her. She describes herself as really typical. Her explosion, however, has demonstrated otherwise, as she shot to fame after rising from a low-income background. Barbra won an Oscar at the age of 25 for her work in motion pictures. She kept making appearances on screen and brought her notoriety with her to little cameos on TV shows. Barbra was more fortunate than everyone else to be in the same room as role models, because she has starred with A-list icons Omar Sharif, Yves Montand, Sidney Poitier, Nick Nolte, Dustin Hoffman, and Robert De Niro. It might be compared to a new rank on her shoulders and an adjustment of the crown. Beyond her fame on stage and screen, Barbra is a politically engaged individual who openly expresses her ideas on Twitter and supports environmental activism. An active life of politics. During her early professional years, Barbra showed relatively little interest in political matters. She did not act indifferently to politics. Rather, she actively participated in the Women's Strike for Peace, an anti-nuclear organization founded in 1961 and continuing into 1962. She developed a keen interest in political engagement in 1968 and was instrumental in Eugene McCarthy's presidential campaign, a campaign marked by opposition to the Vietnam War. Time changed, and in July 1968, she joined Harry Belafonte and other celebrities at the Hollywood Bowl for a fundraiser concert organized by the Southern Christian Leadership Conference. She did this to demonstrate her support for helping the impoverished, having experienced a taste of their life in the past. Streisand has consistently supported the Democratic Party and many of its causes, showing her strength and unwavering loyalty to the party. She was included in President Richard Nixon's 1971 list of political enemies, according to historical accounts. She was the featured artist at the benefit concert for McGovern in 1972, which was arranged by record producer Lou Adler and actor Warren Beatty to support anti-war candidate George McGovern for president. A live recording of her performance from this concert at the Forum was later made available. But Barbra's approach to political activity was one of a kind. Barbra used her power and ability to turn thousands of people's hearts toward a certain individual. Once more, she demonstrates the importance of building a relationship with an audience over simply selling records or topping the charts. Following her thrilling performance at the McGovern benefit concert, she organized a benefit at the mansion of movie mogul Jennings Lang with the American Civil Liberties Union and liberal activist Stanley Scheinbaum to raise money for Daniel Ellsberg's legal defense. With a small group of accomplished musicians, including Marvin Hamlisch, she sang on the piano. That day, her approach was to perform various songs in response to phone requests for payment from her rapt audience. Barbra guided the band to make $50,000 that night alone. Driven by a strong desire for progress and development, Barbra founded the Hollywood Women's Political Committee, HWPC, in 1984 alongside Jane Florida and 10 other well-known actors and actresses. The group quickly attracted 300 members. Under the Democratic Party's auspices, this activist group battled for liberal objectives for almost 10 years, playing a significant and active part in the 1986 U.S. Senate elections. This group persisted in supporting Bill Clinton's 1992 presidential campaign in an effort to bring more women into the ranks of government and celebrate the Year of the Woman. Barbra used her platform as an artist to advocate for artists to get involved in politics. She gave a speech in 1995 at Harvard's John F. Kennedy School of Government regarding the civic responsibilities that artists have in supporting and funding the arts. Additionally, Streisand has been a vocal advocate for LGBT rights and participated in the 2008 Cool No on 8 Inches campaign. An attempt to overturn California Proposition 8 of 2008 was launched. However, it was unsuccessful. Over time, Streisand's involvement in politics changed from being somewhat involved to being heavily committed. Streisand took part in the Los Angeles Women's March in 2017. Rufus Wainwright presented her, and then Streisand took the stage to deliver a speech. And then, in 2018, Streisand talked about the concept of her new album Walls and the threats she believed the U.S. president at the time, Donald Trump, posed in an interview with Emma Brox of The Guardian. She contended that we are living in a perilous period for our country and for the Republic. A man who attacks our institutions and is both crooked and indecent. It's frightful. And all I can do is hope that those who value compassion and the truth will cast ballots. I'm not just advocating voting. Cast your ballot for Democrats. She's a committed Democrat. She declared, "I like Biden," in November 2023, expressing her admiration for the president. He did a fantastic job, in my opinion. He seems wise, kind, and supportive of the proper causes, in my opinion. They share similar views on a number of issues. including her support for the LGBT community. Thus, one could argue that she is a fan. Life away from the stage and TV. The amorous interest Barbra has received from men, both deserving and unworthy, is another aspect of her personality that cannot be ignored. Thanks to Barbra's influence, John Peters, a former hairdresser who became a movie producer, was one of the men who came and went from her life. The instant Peters and Barbra met, they fell in love. But they were unable to stay together due to personality conflicts. Don Johnson was number 2 on the list. Barbra chattered excitedly during the interview, giving the impression that she was quite happy. Surprisingly, though, they broke up in 1988. When Barbra climbed on Andre Agassi, who was 28 years her junior, it stunned the whole world. Andre thought that whatever they were doing was a unique friendship. Barbra angrily denied ever dating Steven Spielberg, as though embarrassed by all the documented antics. They both remained friends in the face of confrontation. Many additional men were also said to have had more than a professional contact with Barbra Streisand, in addition to those on the list. A portion of the accusations were flatly refuted, while others were accepted as fact. Marlon Brando experienced enough. The 1960s saw the alternating careers of Joe Namath and Omar Sharif. The 1970s saw Chris Christopherson. The 1980s saw Robert Redford. The 1983 saw Richard Gere. The 1980s saw Ryan O'Neal and Warren Beatty. The 1983 saw Richard Baskin, the heir to Baskin-Robbins. Have Barbra for the longest period of time, 1983-1987, and the 1989 saw the brief appearance of Clint Eastwood. Actor John Voighton and ABC World News newsman Peter Jennings followed somewhere in the mid-1990s, followed by James Newton Howard and actor Liam Neeson, sometime in 1991 with Prince Charles, who is now King Charles, in 1994. Fortunately, Barbra married actor James Brolin in 1998 after her first marriage collapsed, as well as all other failed relationships. Since then, they have been married for 3 years and have 3 stepchildren. Yes, Barbra has a reputation for rewriting and changing stories. She demonstrated her ability to succeed in performances, as well as her ability to meet the love of her life at any time. Prestigious awards. Barbra developed into a multi-talented young woman, transitioning from a dual-talented performer in music and acting. In the film Yentl, Up Her Sleeves, she possessed the expertise of a producer, director, main actress, and singer. The outcome was nothing short of extraordinary, as critics acknowledged that there had been no superior film to that point. Thanks to Barbra Streisand, Yentl was awarded the Oscar for Best Soundtrack. Barbra's abilities were not concealed. Undoubtedly, she matured to realize her aspiration to achieve fame and stardom. In 2015, she was awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by then U.S. President Barack Obama in recognition of her voice that resembled diamonds. Many of her tracks continue to be popular and have received numerous accolades and awards. Streisand has been nominated for a Grammy Award 43 times, and she has won 8 of them. Additionally, she has been honored with 2 special non-competitive awards, the 1992 Grammy Legend Award and the 1994 Grammy Lifetime Achievement Award. In addition to these accolades, Barbra has been inducted into the Grammy Hall of Fame on 4 separate occasions. In recognition of her artistic accomplishments in the music industry, she was awarded the Music Cares Person of the Year title by the Grammy Foundation in 2011. In 1964, Streisand was awarded the Distinguished Merit Award by Mademoiselle and was chosen as Miss Ziegfeld in 1965. After her one-night performance in Israel in 1968, she was awarded the Israel Freedom Medal, the highest civilian honor in Israel. She received the Prix de l'Académie Charles Crozier and the Pied Piper Award from ASCAP in 1969. She was summoned to receive the Crystal Apple Award of Honor by her native city of New York a few years later. In 1978, the Anti-Defamation League presented her with the Achievement in the Arts Award. Barbra received the Women in Film Crystal Award in 1984, which recognizes exceptional women who have contributed to the expansion of women's roles in the entertainment industry by virtue of their enduring excellence and extensive experience. She also received the Scopus Award from American Friends of the Hebrew University and the Woman of Courage Award from the National Organization for Women, which is now the Ordre des Arts et des Lettres. The National Medal of Arts, the most prestigious award for artistic accomplishments, was bestowed upon Streisand by President Bill Clinton in 2000. Additionally, she was honored with the Library of Congress Living Legend Award. She also received an award from the American Film Institute. The most prestigious accolade for a career in cinema was bestowed upon her, the AFI Life Achievement Award. She also received the Humanitarian Award from the Human Rights Campaign in 2004 for her years of leadership, vision, and activism in the fight for civil liberties, including religion, race, gender equality, and freedom of speech, as well as all aspects of gay rights. Additionally, she received the Gracie Allen Award, the first annual Jewish Image Award in 2001. In 2007, she was awarded the Kennedy Center Honors, the most prestigious tribute to cultural accomplishment in American history, by President George Bush. The Legion of Honor, the highest decoration in France, was bestowed upon her by French President Nicolas Sarkozy in the same year. In 2015, the Daily Telegraph ranked Streisand as one of the 10 greatest female singer-songwriters of all time, time-traveling to that year. Barbra was recognized as one of the most beloved leading actresses of all time by AE's Biography magazine. Barbra Streisand was also included in the BBC's Voices of the Century list. In recognition of her status as a homosexual icon, Barbra Streisand was recognized by The Advocate as one of the 25 coolest women and the 9 coolest women who appealed to both lesbians and gay men. Out magazine also recognized her as one of the 12 most significant female homosexual icons of all time. Homosexuality Times acknowledged her as one of the most significant homosexual icons of the past 3 decades. The 25 greatest American movie musicals were emphasized in AFI's Greatest Movie Musicals, with Funny Girl, in which Barbra portrayed the character Hash, ranking 16th on the list. Streisand, who is one of the most renowned and decorated artists and actresses in American history, has carved out a path for herself by becoming the sole artist to presently hold membership in these organizations. The honorary chairwoman of the board of directors of Hadassah's International Research Institute on Women, as well as the American Society of Composers, Authors and Publishers, Screen Actors Guild, American Federation of Television and Radio Artists, Academy of Motion Pictures, Arts and Sciences, and Actors Equity Association. Barbra's memoir, My Name is Barbra, was published on November 7, 2023. Following the publication of the book, Barbra participated in an interview with BBC in which she expressed her desire to experience more enjoyment in life. Barbra Streisand is a music goddess and superscreen icon. She is the sole recipient of numerous accolades, including the Kennedy Center Honor, American Film Institute's Lifetime Achievement Honor, and the Film Society of Lincoln Center Chaplin Award, in addition to the Grammy, Golden Globe, Cable Ace, National Endowment for the Arts, and Peabody Awards. It is impossible to minimize Barbra's influence on the entertainment industry, including movie acting and performing. Her exceptional acting skills have distinguished her. She has served as a role model for aspiring performers and has brought joy to many with her exceptional acting and singing abilities, which have been inspired by her audience. Consequently, she is deserving of the accolades she has received. The sad life of Barbra Streisand. Even though Barbra Streisand relished her glitz and celebrity during her heyday, she wasn't without difficulties and heartbreaks. Even with her legendary reputation, Barbra Streisand had her share of personal challenges and periods of extreme melancholy. But the deep melancholy that now shrouds her later years is not a new one brought on by aging. It's the residual effects of the traumas she suffered and buried when she was younger. What anguish and suffering did young Barbra Streisand experience that the older she is still unable to get over? Barbra Streisand has endured a great deal of hardship in her life. But the insults and belittling she experienced during her rise to fame are the wounds that hurt even now. These weren't just hiccups along the way. They were formidable obstacles that truly went to the core of her being. Imagine spending your entire life being minimized by the people who should have been nurturing you, so much so that you are unable to truly believe the accolades you receive for your legendary voice and hit songs. That was Barbra Streisand's situation. The media has been strangely focused on her appearance from the start, calling her a friendly anteater with an incredible nose and comparing her to a myopic gazelle. But the story changed when she became a superstar. All of a sudden, Streisand was being praised as a Babylonian queen for her enormous accomplishments, which included selling 250 million records, winning 10 Golden Globes, 5 Emmys, and 2 Oscars for composing and acting. But the wounds from earlier criticism still show. The celebrity writes in her new autobiography, "My name is Barbara. Even after all these years, I'm still hurt by the insults and can't quite believe the praise." Barbra Streisand's dislike of theater work stems from her Broadway role in Funny Girl, a recollection that still pains her. In her candid autobiography, she describes the tension she had with her co-star Sidney Chaplin, describing his nasty stage persona that led to panic episodes and stage fright. When Chaplin made advances toward Streisand, who was married at the time of the 1964 premiere, she ran across marital restrictions. His ego was hurt when his advances were rejected, which caused him to verbally insult people during performances, causing them to become extremely upset and anxious. Chaplin refused to back down, making Streisand even more distressed. Even though she overcame the nightmare with resilience, the experience left her with lasting wounds that still make her unhappy. It also changed her connection with the stage. Barbra Streisand, with her powerful and emotional voice, has not only won over audiences with her artistic talent, but also become a symbol of resilience and determination. Despite the sadness of her childhood and the challenges of her marriage, she always kept her faith in her dreams. Her relentless efforts to overcome difficulties have helped her shine, becoming one of the greatest artists in history. Barbra's journey is a testament to the power of passion and will, encouraging us to pursue our dreams despite all obstacles. And today, at the age of 82, Barbra still keeps herself cheerful and happy, and on her social media accounts, she still regularly interacts with the audience as well as shares her positive views with everyone. Have you ever heard Barbra's songs or watched her movies? Do you still listen to the songs that made her name? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to like if you find this video interesting. Besides, the videos that appear right after are also very useful, so don't miss them.